Good evening and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, I have to harvest some very sad looking potatoes. So if you'd like to see me harvest some potatoes, my first potato harvest of the season, stay tuned. These potatoes have seen better days, and I am just so sickened by it. I went out of town and I made sure the garden was watered deeply before I did, and when I came back, there had been a major storm in the area and this pot stained too much water. So I'm thinking that my potatoes are rotting. I have got to get in here and see what I have left, if there's anything for me to salvage. So let's harvest these potatoes. This container was so beautiful, and now look at it. It has seen better days. I just had to pour off some water, so I'm not expecting much from this container. So I'm just gonna clear off the pine mulch over here. I'm gonna throw that off to the side as much as possible. This makes me sad, y'all. Now I do have a potato right here at the very top. Can you all see that? I don't know if it's spongy or not. I'm just gonna cut the tops. Well, let me see if I can pull this out of the soil. The soil is pretty soft. And I can see a potato right here as well. So I'm gonna see if I can just pull, which I don't think I will be able to. There we go. I'm afraid that everything in here is rotting. So I'm just gonna see if I can just pull it, see what happens. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've got rotting potatoes. Yeah, this one's rotting. This one is not, but it's really tiny. Can you guys see that? But it was sitting right next to a rotted potato. So I'm gonna take it and put it in my little bucket off to the side. I've got some worms in here that are truly feasting. Some really big worms in here. I am not going to waste my time with those because they are rotted potatoes. These are tiny little bitty potatoes. If you leave these in, they will grow for you. So I'm going to take those out. I will replant those, but I will be taking those tiny ones out. Let's see, this one doesn't feel rotted, but see, this is green. So this potato and the other potato, I'm going to be saving this for seed potato. It's really very tiny, but you don't want to eat any potatoes that have green on them. They will poison your system. And I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see that? It started to grow. So I'm going to save this and repot it. So I'm going to put this off to the side with the other potato because those were potatoes that were growing on the surface. And I'm going to take this out like that. And I highly doubt there are going to be any other potatoes in here. I don't want to get rid of my soil. I want to try to retain as much soil as possible. So I'm just going to shake this off. And as I do that, I do see worms are falling into the soil. There are a lot of juicy worms in here. Let me get my shovel and just kind of hit that a little bit. Like I said, I want to save my soil. It's important for me to reclaim as much soil as possible, as well as to not toss out any worms. And what I'm looking for is knotted root. I want to see if I have any knotted root in here, and I don't see any, so I'm not going to concern myself with that. So I'm going to toss this in the garbage over here. And these are all rotting, so I'm going to place them in a bucket I have over to the side. I'm gonna get my shovel. I don't want to touch them because they are so totally disgusting. And I know the worms really like this. So what I will do is I will put this in the worm bin, or actually I'll just repot them in the pot as worm food. So I'm going to place this off to the side. This is a tiny potato that's not rotting. So these are going to go off to the side because these are going to go back into the pot as worm food. So I'm going to just place those over there like that. And I'm just going to just, you know, move this around. And I'm not going to keep you all too long. I'm going to speed this up because I do not want you to all to have to sit here and watch me pick through and find a bunch of rotting potatoes. So I'm going to speed this up and I'll come back and show you what I have, because what I'm finding are nothing but rotting potatoes. I wanted to stop for a second and show you guys how completely full of water this container got. We had a terrible storm and this container was not covered, and so it just was filled full of nothing but water. And there's just a huge bunch of water sitting in the bottom of this pot. And basically all of my potatoes have all been just completely decimated. They're just ruined. There are no potatoes in here for me to save. Everything has rotted away, and this is nothing more than a massive worm compost container. And I'm happy to see all of these worms. They're just amazing to me. But all that hard work I put into keeping those potatoes alive and placing them in the garden as soon as I could, because I started those potatoes in the house during the fall. Actually, it was late winter. I didn't get anything. This is just a complete mess. Everything is rotted, completely rotted out. There's nothing in here that's salvageable. And what would be salvageable are just a couple of little tiny potatoes that you all saw. And I'm going to use those for next year. So all I can do with this is let this sit and dry out and put those potatoes back in here to feed these worms, because there's nothing in here that I can salvage. I mean, absolutely nothing. So yeah, I'm sad by that, but Mother Nature, you can't do anything about Mother Nature. And if you're not here to salvage your harvest, there's nothing you can do. I've got tiny little potatoes. These were russet potatoes, and again, just completely decimated. The entire crop is just gone. But that's okay. I have so much more growing in the garden. I'm not sad because I have a bucket or pot full of worms. I'm not going to show you all, but if you can see, let me see if I can show you. I have a ton of worms in here growing, living. This is an amazing ecosystem. They're happy and they appear to be healthy. They're feeding well off of the potatoes that I thought I was going to eat. So I'm going to place the rotting potatoes back inside of here. I'm going to move this pot so it's not going to get any more rain. We're due to have another huge storm later tonight as well as tomorrow. So more rain is coming, and I will just chalk this up to some great worm food. And when this container dries out, then I will I'll use it for flowers. I'm not going to use this again for food because this pot retains entirely too much water, and if I'm not careful, this will flood out, which is what it did. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this really sad video. There wasn't anything to show you other than a bunch of worms, rotting potatoes, and I have a couple of tiny potatoes here that I'm going to use as seed potatoes for next year, and that is about it. So if you like my content, do me a favor, share my videos, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as a ClausenWorld family member. Until then, or until the next video, I hope to see you in the garden again. Have a great night, everybody. Bye for now.